Alright, I'm back after a little sabbatical, and we're going to do a quick little tutorial today about one of my favorite little, I guess you'd call it a package management software for Windows. It's called Ketarin. It's kind of frustrating switching from Debian to Windows, where not all of your packages are in a repository. You can't just do a sudo aptitude, and get them all updated. And we don't need two things of Adobe Reader. And so with Ketarin, it sort of gives you that that power, right at your fingertips. It's a little bit more of a manual setup. It's a little bit more difficult, but I definitely think in the end it's worth it. I especially use this a lot when rebuilding computers. Like I have these application lists, and I just ask the user, what sort of applications do you want on there? I add them to the list and then just run this once, and it will update all their programs and install most of them silently. A little bit more about Ketarin. It's free for use. There are other programs like it for Windows, like App Snap and App Updater, but I feel like Ketarin has the most flexibility in what it allows you to do. First off, you'll notice a list of all these applications that I like and I like to have installed and updated on my PC. However, I'm not going to go through the trouble, especially with apps like CC Cleaner that updates every day, it seems like. I'm not going to want to go through the trouble to find it, download it, install it, and it's just a lot of work for me. And so what I do is I have it all manually done with Ketarin, or automatically done, I should say, with Ketarin. So essentially what's happening here is, let's say 7-zip, we're just going to check for an update there, and it goes and through whatever, however, you'll notice the green check mark means that it's up to date. And if we take a look at that, it's actually looking at filehippo.com and it's checking to see if this is the latest version of 7-zip, and then if there's a newer version out, it's going to save it to, these are variables that Ketarin uses, root, which I actually have stored as C, apps, and then category, which is packer, it's a packing application, and then app name 7-zip, and then the earl.ext is the extension, whether it be MSI, a zip file, exe file. And then I added a little bit, the commands part is where it really becomes powerful. A file, which is the whole file name, and then /s, which that happens to be the silent switch to install 7-zip. So essentially, if there was a new version of this, I would just right click and then do update, and it would download and then silently install the application in the background for me. No work needed. It's just so handy, especially when you're on a new build and you just run Ketarin and you say update all, it updates everything. You'll already notice that we showed here FileHippo, so anything that is on FileHippo, you just need the FileHippo ID, which is actually pretty easy to obtain. When you go out to FileHippo, let's pull that up. When you look for an application, say 7-zip, and we don't really want the beta, but what we'll do is FileHippo ID is pretty much 7-zip, just the name of the application, and sometimes there'll be hyphens in it. Let's look at another one that might be a little bit more clear. Let's say this one. FileHippo ID is Trillion Astra, so let's look for Trillion. Click on it, download, and then there's Trillion Astra. So you have to have the underscore or else it won't work. So FileHippo is really nice that way. However, obviously not everything can be found on FileHippo, and that's where the manual part comes in. So let's take a look at CC Cleaner Slim. I have the Slim part because that's the part that doesn't automatically install the crapware. I think it sets Bing or something. And you'll notice here that we actually are downloading from a URL. And the URL, let's actually see if there is an update for that. There is not. I have the latest version. So I actually got lucky here in that all I need is this one Earl right here, And you'll notice if you just copy that directly into the browser, what that's going to do is download it directly. So, and it's always the latest version, which is nice. It would be great if more applications or websites did that. And for a lot of websites, you can just go as if you're going to download the application, then just copy the URL right in, and a lot of times it'll work. Maybe you have to do a little bit of versioning, and that's actually something we can cover next. Let's take a look at something hopefully a little simple. Alright, so this is a putty, which I really like and use a lot. And you'll notice here that we have a version variable. This version variable is copied from a website. This is the website right there, the download website. So if we browse there, you'll notice that the latest release version, beta 0.60, and that's what I search for, the latest release version, and then beta 0.60. And the red part, you'll usually just select one part and then use selection as start, and then select the end part and use selection as end. So if anything, if they change anything within those parentheses, my program will know and automatically update itself. It's not fail proof. Sometimes you have to go through another version before you realize, oh, this is the way they're going to change it. But that does work, and that version variable is used in nowhere. Actually, I don't use it in this one because they use the latest one, but I have the version variable solely so that I know the version in this custom value column right here. But if they did, for whatever reason, use, instead of latest, they used the version number, I could just type in the quotes, or the whatever you call those curly brackets, you could do the version, and it would put whatever it found in this variable into that URL. So, which is, oh, I'll cancel that one. And there are unfortunately a few sites that don't work very well with that. I think, let's see if this is one of those. Nope. Let's find an example here. Ah, good. SourceForge.net. Horrible place to do this. Let's even see if this still works. Nope. They change the way they do things so often, they have to change it every time. But I don't even think it found. Yeah, I didn't find it anywhere. Essentially, what I was doing with this is I was grabbing the version number. And it should have been substituted in here, but since it lost the versioning, it's just going to grab whatever the latest one was. So I would put in version, and then it would substitute 0.7.2, and then let's say if for some reason there wasn't periods there was actually underscores, we could do version replace and then underscore, or replace period and then underscore, and replace all the periods with underscores, which is very handy. But since SourceForge changes everything all the time, it's such a crappy site to get stuff from, at least using this method. I do like SourceForge, and their normal site is nice, but it does not play well with this. So essentially that's pretty much the basics of it. However, you don't have to do all of this manually. A lot of times if you want a new application, you can import it from an online database and just say Shockwave, whoever uses that, but Adobe Shockwave. Then you can just click and then do import, and then it will automatically add that and update it. And you can also do stuff like top 50 date, and you'll be able to update them. So now that I have all of these in there and set up, usually what I can do is I can just hit update now, or I can choose check for updates, download, only check for updates. Update Now usually does everything you could possibly think of, and then it's just going to go through the list one by one and check to see if they're all updated or if they have errors like that one does. And then you can go and check them. And almost all of mine allow for good, there's an update. Silent installations. So something like that one right there. The command is going to do file very silent, suppress message box, no restart, and then I would assume S silent. And that's going to install it automatically. I don't have to do anything. Image burn is a new one too. Well, it's a good thing I did this. I do have some updated applications, but the point is, I would never have to go out and look to see if these applications are up to date. I would never even have to run the applications. I would just have to run this every once in a while, and it would update all that for me. The even better part about it is that this can actually be run from the command line, so you can set up a scheduled task to run every Friday from the command line, and it could run that and update that for you. And it would put a little notification bar down in your Windows tray, and it would pop up with notifications if you need to be notified. It's really a very snazzy application that works quite well. And you'll notice it's really flying through these. Some of that's due to errors, as I pointed out. Probably most of them. Oh, this one I know is a test one, but a lot of them are from SourceForge, and some of them are going to give me some new errors that I'll have to look up. And some of them you have to be a little bit more, say, VirtualBox when it downloads. It's an exe, but you have to extract it, and then you give the path, and those variables will still work. You know, root apps category, and then what you can actually do if you're really concerned about it is you can write batch files that you can run. Say this one that I do after uninstall or after I install. Say Camp Studio I can't install, so I do a call C apps Ketarin install. Oh, that installs VirtualBox right there. That is this one, and that just runs the MSI exec and then grabs that's not the latest one. So I'll have to see what I was thinking around in there, but I'll have to fix that. But it should grab the latest. My plan was to have it grab the latest MSI and run it. And then it's also going to start mesh.com for live mesh, which there's no real easy way to do. So it's just going to open the browser to remind me to update that. Alright, and that's pretty much the extent of this one. One more little thing I should show you is settings, command, or you can do commands to execute after updating an application, after updating all applications, which I could probably add some of my commands in there before updating the application. And then you can do variable for custom columns. I have version 2. And you can show those by clicking on here. You can do status, etc., etc. I have custom value 2, and that shows the versions for me, which I like. So, alright, and that pretty much sums it up for Ketarin. Obviously, if you want a bigger, a more thorough, I should say, write-up on it, you can go to my blog, and it is available at aproductivelife.blogspot.com, and then just, no hyphens or anything, and then just search for Ketarin or look at the tags here. It should be, I should probably add that, and but you should be able to search and find it, and it shouldn't be a problem. And that goes a little bit more into depth. It gives a few examples. Anyway, I just want to let you guys know that this is a great tool for auto-updating all your applications, or if you have like a USB key that has like especially if you're in support, you can just put your USB key in and run it, and then you have all the updated applications. So I have Hiron's boot CD, and I don't have anything in there. I should probably, Yeah, probably should update that because it updated. bootcd 11, so once that notices it's updated, it will download the new one automatically. So